This tale begins with the story of a man who once won 4 consecutive fights in one night with none other than Mr. T in his corner. I pity the fool! He was even the final boss in a Sega game while still working on mobile homes in Alabama. At first glance, his swing didn't look anything special, but it delivered earth-shattering bombs. A punch who destroyed what it touched, able to generate unimaginable power using his weight and arm length to his advantage, and the ability to send his opponent into oblivion. Even his name, you'd think comical, instilled a sense of dread and fear in his opponents. A somewhat unassuming, pudgy fellow, standing around 5'11" and anywhere from 300 to 400 pounds, Eric David Scott Esch was born in Atlanta on August 3rd, 1966. He eventually made his way into Jasper, Alabama at 11 years of age. Having a difficult childhood, losing his mom young, and being bullied at school because of his size, he grew up tough and mean when he needed to be. And eventually, as a young man, his friends talked him into entering a local tough man contest that he ended up winning, thus beginning his fight career and the very legend of Butterbean. Once upon a time, in order to meet heavyweight limits of a tournament, he had eaten a diet of nothing but chicken and butter beans, developing a extreme dislike for butter beans and thus becoming its famous nickname. In the early 90s, he became 5-time world tough man heavyweight champion, compiling a 56-5 record with 36 KOs, over a 60% KO percentage. Butterbean's professional boxing career started with a victory over Tim Daniels in Birmingham, Alabama, with the distinct look of the draw, developing a cult following right from the get-go and being known as the king of the 4-rounders. An instant box office draw, always wearing the U.S. flag shorts representing. He would destroy muscle-bound men like they were being fed to him. Feed me, Seymour. His TV debut was his second professional boxing match, something that was unheard of. And he is one of the most televised boxers of all time. Butterbean amassed a string of victories, eventually losing to last-minute boxer Mitchell Rose on December 15, 1995. Afterwards, he amassed another 51 more wins and draws, in which one of his most notable matches was beating Peter McNeely. In 1997, he officially became the IBA's new super heavyweight title holder. He made 6 defenses of this belt before losing a majority decision to Billy Zumbrun in 2001. The next year, Butterbean faced a 52-year-old Larry Holmes in the boxing ring, actually going 10 rounds to prove he had stamina along with punching power and had the ability to dance with one of the greats. Butterbean made his on-screen debut on Jackass the Movie, sending Johnny Knoxville to the Netherverse via a devastating right cross, putting stitches in Knoxville's head. Soon after, Butterbean ventured into kickboxing, in K1 earning a knockout of Yusuke Fujimoto at the K1 Beast 2 in Japan. His first venture in MMA was K1 Premium Dynamite in 2003 in Nagoya, Japan, facing a much smaller Sudo who eventually used grappling to win by heel hook submission. His K1 losing streak finally ended in 2005 in the K1 World Grand Prix, where he won a unanimous decision victory over fellow brawler Marcus Royster. Royster, a mountain of a man, and Butterbean handled him pretty well. Eric Butterbean Esch made his professional wrestling debut in 1997 on the D-Generation X in Your House pay-per-view, where he defeated ex-Golden Gloves champion Mark Miro via disqualification in what's called a worked match. Now, his most famous wrestling appearance was 15 months later in an all-legitimate shoot fight at WrestleMania 15 in 1999. He was the final boss of the WWF's tournament Brawl for All, which was a true debacle thought up by wrestling's public enemy number one, Vince Russo, the bane of Jim Cornette. If you're fond of professional wrestling or its history, check out Jim Cornette's podcasts. They are full of history. The Brawl for All ruined almost every wrestler's reputation that was involved, destroying their kayfabe identity. Wrestlers such as Steve Dr. Death Williams, and almost ruining the reputation of Bradshaw, who eventually became world heavyweight champion in WWE. But the wrestler most affected was the one who won the tournament of the 1999 Brawl for All, which was Bart Gunn. Bart Gunn, the Brawl for All tournament winner, was to face Butterbean, the final boss, in WrestleMania 15's Brawl for All tournament finale. Well, this was a boxing match in the truest form, but in the opening seconds of the match, Butterbean pushes forward and delivers one of the most devastating right hands I've ever seen, almost rotating Bart Gunn's head 180 degrees before Bart kisses canvas in mere seconds of the first round. Now, Gunn's body may have kissed canvas, but his soul was elsewhere, pleading for its body back. In 2009, wrestling on the Independents, Butterbean became the Wrestling Syndicate's heavyweight champion. Now, Butterbean's style, either boxing or wrestling, was a savage, brutal attack of the senses, putting fans in the stands, always bringing action to the fight card, amassing 77 wins, 10 losses, 4 draws, and knocking out fighters like Graham through the ropes in dramatic KOs, even possessing a granite chin, but could murk men by going one-shot Finch style to the body. His win versus Mark Royster, a mountain of a man, in K1 was awe-inspiring. His MMA career had its ups and downs, but Butterbean enjoyed it nonetheless, just enjoying the ride. Up and down, it didn't matter. He was always the fan favorite. He even was in a sumo match versus Bob Sapp in Japan. Eric Esch, a blue-collar son of the South, a legend, fan favorite, and one of the most devastating tough man fighters ever. An in-ring destroyer of worlds, a sweet, charming southern gent outside the ring, standing 5'11" with a 78-inch reach, using an orthodox style, generating otherworldly power as his method of defense as well as offense. His boxing career, like I said, was 77 wins, 10 losses, 4 draws with 58 KOs. Had a kickboxing record of 3 wins, 4 losses with 2 KOs, and an MMA record of 17 wins, 10 losses, 1 draw with 7 KOs and 3 submissions. Esch even became a reserve deputy of Jasper, Alabama, using his fame to help the sheriff's office with their jobs. The fame of Butterbean gave him the chance to have a reality show for 1 season on Investigation Discovery. Also, with appearances in Adult Swim's Squidbillies and CMT's Hulk Hogan's Championship Wrestling, he was on Team Beefcake. A boxer in the games EA Sports Knockout Kings and EA Sports Fight Night Champions. A former restaurateur, owner of a barbecue joint, my favorite. He has 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter, both sons having been in MMA. He was a one-time IBA Super Heavyweight Champion, one-time World Athletic Association Super Heavyweight Champion, Elite One MMA Super Heavyweight Champion. Now, since retiring in 2013, Esch's health deteriorated, having impaired mobility with intense pain, he could barely walk with crutches, even having to rely on a wheelchair during conventions. But luckily, in 2022, Butterbean got the help he needed via Diamond Dallas Page, an ex-wrestler with a yoga routine, and being somewhat of a life coach. He got Ish below 300 pounds for the first time, qualifying him for surgery on his semi-fused hip. His achievements in recovery was shown in a video montage by Diamond Dallas Page's Yoga, chronicling Ish's transformation from not being able to walk to being mobile and wanting to fight again. Eric Butterbean Ish, a KO artist of legendary renown, instilling fear in many a fighter, was the people's champion, a fan favorite, blue-collar hero, making his mark his way, and a true inspiration to everyone suffering from pain and mobility problems, showing the strength in DDP's yoga program and his own capabilities to change a way of life. Butterbean, a fellow Alabamian who set up meetings for his opponents with their maker. I salute you, brother. Until next time, this is Big Duke 6.